This person traveled to Italy, and I don't want to mention the visa type he was using, then returned back to his home country, and upon applying again for another one to jackpot immediately, because initially he wanted to do it in a way that you understand what I mean. So the second one was rejected. Why was it rejected? I want to put this here so that I'm not going to be saying certain things so that it doesn't look somehow. You understand? I'm just going to put them cash. Now, if you apply for a particular visa, I'm talking in the case of a Schengen visa. Remember, a study visa is a visa for more than 90 days, right? So even if you stay more than 90 days, all you need is to renew your residence permit over and over until your studies is over, and maybe you can then apply for post-graduation work permits, apply for PR, and definitely citizenship. But it doesn't work that way when it comes to visitor visa or Schengen visa application. So this person got a rejection for the second visa. If you listen to this video to the end, you are going to understand why his visa was rejected. When you apply for a visa, there are things on the visa you need to pay attention to, especially the short stay visa. I mean the visitor visa, the business visa, the conference visa, the medical visa, and the tourist visa. All of them are under Schengen visa when it comes to Europe. When you apply for such a visa, you have to understand that there is a date on it, issuing date. You will see it on the visa. Then if you look again, you are going to see expiring date. Okay, these are the two dates that will always be on the visa. Now, what is the issuing date? Before I continue, please, have you subscribed to the channel? Subscribe and like this video for us so that I can get water to drink, right? Thank you for giving me water and encouraging me to make more content. Now, when you look at it, you will see that the date the visa was given, like the issuing date, is the date that the visa start counting. You cannot move to that country you were applying for that visa to move into, except the issuing date have started. Let's assume that your visa is 30th of August 2024. It means that you cannot travel until it is 30th of August. I hope you understand. So this is something you should pay attention to. Now, for some countries, you may move in before that date, but for most countries in Europe, especially when it concerns the Schengen visa, you can't travel. So put this into consideration. Now, the next date that you need to pay attention to is called the expiring date. This is where our focus is. Now, this is why that person's visa, the man's visa, was rejected. When this man traveled, right, he got an issuing date on his passport and also on his visa, and also an expiring date. Now, what happens was he stayed more than the length given to him. His expiring date was supposed to be on a particular day. Instead of him to exit the country, no, he didn't exit the country because of what other people told him that he can do what they call overstay. Overstay means that if you stay more than the required number of days, you can maybe compensate at the border, right? You can pay the remaining days. There is usually a fine. I don't know how much that is, but you can compensate for the overall, like for the overstay or the number of days you stayed again after the validity. So the expiring date came and passed. After 1 month, he didn't exit. 2 months, he didn't exit. Then when he was exiting now, it has been almost 2 months and above. So he had to pay overstay. And after that, they even asked him, I'm not sure he even paid the overstay, because when we were chatting, we didn't finish the conversation. But he let me understood that they asked him if he was going to come back. And he said no. You understand? That is the first error. Now you came back to your country and wanted to apply again for the visa, whereas you've already said no, and the immigration officers already indicated in their system over there that you said you were not coming back. How come you go again to do another application? All these things are shown in the system. Now, you may not know that this is going to affect you, but this is a very serious issue many people or many applicants or many internationals need to pay attention to. I am saying this because it most of the time concerns all of these visa categories I gave you, not the study visa, because of course the study visa, you can always renew your residence permit. But mind you, if you are on a residence permit, the study visa, and your residence permit expires and you don't renew it, you are likely to have a problem, because you may not be legal in that country. And if you are not going to school again, you will not be legal, because most of the time the residence permit given to you is given to you because you are in school, and you have to show evidence that you have registered their courses before they can give it to you. I hope you understand. So now, what was happening was he forgot about the validity of his visa. Now, what is the validity of the visa? There is an expiring date above there. There is an issuing date above there. There is an expiring date below. Now, in between the issuing date and the expiring date is what we call the validity date of the visa. So you always need to check your visa, the visa given to you, to be able to know when you are going to enter that country, when you can stay in that country, and when you need to exit. The expiring date of the visa, listen to me guys, it shouldn't meet you in that particular country, especially if you are on a Schengen visa. Now remember, I'm talking to those that are not planning to jackpot without, you understand what I mean. I'm not equally talking to those that intend to go jackpot and get Odoro. No, I'm talking to those who just want to visit, then come back and have in mind to go again some other time. Because let's assume that you apply for your Schengen visa to France, and when you arrive France, you move to Spain, move to Sweden, move to Poland, move to Germany. Then after a month in Europe, you return back home and stayed for like 6 months, right? And you want to now move again. Maybe the visa have expired. You need to apply again. Maybe when you go now to apply for maybe at the Hungarian embassy or at the Swiss embassy, they check your file and they realize that you overstayed. They call it overstayed before, when the other one was issued to you. This is a complication that might end up getting you a rejection. In some cases, you can still get an approval, but please always try to avoid all these little details, these complications, because it's always good to keep a clean record. A clean record is very important. So I'm just making this for you to know, so that you shouldn't make such errors. If you really want to get your records clean, do not overstay in any country. Make sure you exit immediately your expiring date is by the corner, so that you can always get a clean track. You understand? You may stay, you may get a visa for maybe 30 days, you may get it for 90 days, you may get it for 120 days. But the number of days that you are going to live in that country sometimes depends on the border officers or the immigration officers at the airport. They are the people that will decide. Sometimes you may delay, and when the visa was issued, and upon traveling, you now say, okay, since I have maybe just 5 days for the visa to expire, let me go. Then instead of you to exit after that 5 days, you say, no, the 5 days I'm using, it's too small, let me stay longer. You are killing your own self. You don't know, especially if you intend to ever visit Europe again after you exit. So please, you need to put all this into consideration. Now, my last advice is, remember, I always advise people that if you do not have academic qualifications, if you didn't go to school, if you don't have maybe your WAEC, you don't have O and A levels, you don't even have high school certificate, but you are not able to get a job offer to apply and jackpot abroad, but you really want to jackpot, you can use the Schengen quali if and only if you are thinking of getting Odoro, and if Odoro is not going to be a problem for you. And again, make sure you know the country you want to ask for Odoro from, because it's very important for you to put these things into consideration. It's not a must, but it is a choice. So you always need to make the choice and make sure you stand on a firm ground. This is for people who didn't go to school. Now, if you manage to get to school, higher education, basic education, and you have at least a certificate that can qualify you to go into maybe higher education, like you apply for a bachelor's degree and you have the money, I would advise you not to use a Schengen visa. Rather, use a study visa, because at the end of the day, it is going to play in your advantage, right? For example, if you move in with a studying visa, you are going to study. Now, when you are studying, especially in a country that can give you PGWP after your program is over. Now, when you are studying now with the intention that after PGWP is given to you, you are going to use that duration to look for a job. Now, when you finish, you apply for PGWP. For some countries, it's called orientation year visa. For some countries, it's called post-graduation work permit, right? When you look for it now, all you need to do is, you apply for it, look for a job. Now, within the 1 year given to you, if you find a job, the employer is going to convert that your visa now to a permanent visa, and that is where your opportunities start flogging in. Now you can bring in whosoever family member to visit you because you have a job, you have an accommodation, a stable income, and this is what you really need. So please always put all these things into consideration before you make, especially with the Schengen quali. If you are thinking of going again, right, do not overstay. But if you just want to jackpot immediately and forget about it and ask for your Odoro abroad, it all depends on you now. I believe this can help somebody. Please help me share the video so somebody can benefit from this. Hope you enjoy it. Till we meet again in another one.